Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 91 of the Everything Motor Racing podcast. Hope you had a good weekend. Enjoyed the first round of the season. Finally, it's back. Kind of having to rush this first half an hour. We're basically going to do it in two parts. And we've got about now 25 minutes.
You guys won't notice this, so it's fine.
Yeah, you won't notice. It's fine. We hope, anyway. But kicking off with 91. Riders that start with 91, please.
I'm just going to be real. I have absolutely no idea, and every week I tell myself I'm going to look into it and keep up to date with everyone's riders' numbers, and then I don't do it, so no clue.
No, unfortunately, 91's a bit of a strange one. There are a few. Alessandro Morossi used it last year in the Moto3 World Championship when he was a replacement rider at the MSI squad. In the Junior GP Moto3 series, there's Kota Uchiumi, who rides for MTA. So there's two for you. There is, of course, Kiklana as well, who follows Everything Motor Racing. And my personal friend, my homie, Mihail Florov, can't forget about him. So yeah, there are 4 or 5, I think, off the top of my head. But yeah, I wanted to just jump straight into the podcast, to be honest. And kick off with probably the biggest thing from the weekend, which is Marc Marquez's little
bowling ball
shenanigans, shall we say. Yeah, bowling ball moment. Very interesting one, I think, because the hate that he's getting for it, firstly, is insane. I don't think I've ever seen it, not even like Sepang 2015. I think this eclipses how much hate he got at Sepang. Absolutely mental. I mean, the move was obviously, from what is said, he said that he tried to brake and the front tyre locked up, so he had to release the brakes and obviously had absolutely nowhere to go. Sideswiped Jorge Martin, breaking his toe and hitting Miguel Oliveira, causing obviously some quite significant injuries, including like torn tendons on the inside of his leg, which means he can't walk. And Marc Marquez has been handed a double long lap penalty, which originally was just for the Argentine Grand Prix, which is the same for the 30 plus long lap penalties they gave out last year, were always for the next Grand Prix. Marc Marquez is missing the next race in Argentina, and so they have now changed the sanction to cover the next race he races, which is controversial in itself because they're changing it. I mean, on one hand, I get it. You've punished him. He should serve that punishment, regardless of if he's racing or not. And he should serve it at the next Grand Prix. But you look back to other riders last year, and if they've missed something, say Fabio Quartararo missed Silverstone, would they have changed it then? Or are they doing it to appease the absolute massive backlash they're getting at the moment because it's Marc Marquez and because... Yeah, what do you think?
I think it's such a weird one, and I think that people have really jumped to conclusions saying that because it is Marc Marquez, that's why they've carried it over to the next race that he's available for. It's weird because we actually don't know. So I get why people are jumping to conclusions and saying it's because it's Marc Marquez, but also we've nothing to back this up. We've never, well, that I can remember, been in this situation where we've had a rider get a penalty and then miss the next race due to injury. So I think it's completely 100% right that he should be serving it at America, probably when he comes back. You know, missing the race isn't enough, and he should be penalised for his actions. He's held his hands up and said that the crash was 100% his fault. He knew he deserved a penalty. I think a double long lap penalty is quite... I don't know. I feel like they just hand out long lap penalties for the fun of it these days, and it's hard to determine what's a long lap penalty and what isn't. And then, I don't know, with such outside noise coming in on this situation as well, I feel like it has sort of influenced the decision of the stewards. But they've handled it, I think, in the correct way. They were really quick on the ball. And then there was a bit of confusion as to whether or not he would have to serve it in America, because it was announced that he was missing Argentina, and obviously like the race and stuff like that were posting articles saying that with the way that the punishment was worded, that he wasn't going to have to do it at all. So I don't know. It's a really, really strange situation. to put everyone in. But actually, I think the stewards handled it quite well, because then they clarified everything quite early on this morning as well, so everyone's on the same page. So for once, actually, I think they've done an all right job. They were maybe
Yeah,
not clearing
they've
their
actually done all right.
first. Yeah, they weren't clearing their first sanction, but to clear up that he will have to still take it whenever he is fit to ride, I think it's 100%. Yeah, as he
Yeah,
should.
it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, as he should. Yeah, it's interesting because he was quite, honestly, to be honest, I barely watched any of the races. I think I've watched the highlights, that's about it. But from what I saw, he was quite like audacious in some of his early moves to try and get the front and remain at the front. He's obviously clearly having to override that Honda to try and extract something out of it to stay at the front. Obviously, took a tow from Bastianini in qualifying as well. Because obviously he, unfortunately, as much as he's got the talent, the Honda hasn't got the bike. So he's having to obviously basically use any advantage he can get to get up there and stay up there, especially if he wants to seriously fight for a championship this year. But it's a weird with Marquez, because you look back at 2015 and when he was doing the exact same thing and he caused issues. He's obviously got a career of just smashing into riders, and it's not like a case of one or two like random incidents. It's quite a lot. Jorge Martin has come out and said that Marquez needs to change, because obviously Marquez obviously T-boned him at Silverstone last year as well. And I said to this the other day, because I wasn't watching it, but I was sat in like a pub and my phone started going crazy because of it. And I was like, oh, there's been a crash. And I was like, oh, God, I hope it's not Marquez again. Bang. It was Marquez. I'm like, why is it always Marc Marquez? Like, whenever there's something major, it's always Marc Marquez.
Yeah, it's a weird one, because with this, I fully agree that it's Marc Marquez's fault. But then you look back to Aragon last year, where he took Fabio Quartararo and Taka Nakagami out. That crash was more of a racing incident, and there was nothing could be done. But yet again, he's center of the attention. And initially, when I seen that crash, I was like, fucking Marc Marquez doing again. And then I seen that one, I was like, actually, no, it is a racing incident. And then come to Portugal, he's incredible in the sprint race. And I'm thinking, okay, here we go.
That double overtake was nuts.
Unbelievable. I was like, that honestly is the coolest thing ever. And then come race day on Sunday, I pick him as one of my riders in my fantasy league, and he goes and does that, and I'm like, oh, so nothing's changed at all, everything's still the same. And multiple riders have come out and been like, nah. Alicia
should be banned.
Alicia, I think, has been a bit OTT all weekend about everything, but
he's quite highly strung at the moment because of Paul as well. He's quite he's quite emotionally charged, Alicia, at the moment. He's always emotionally charged, but obviously he's got a bit extra fire in him now this week.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I don't know, and who was it? Wayne Gardner said Marquez should be banned as well for a race or two and stuff. And as much as I get that, I think you have to take the whole thing into the thing of, obviously Marc Marquez wasn't trying to hurt anybody.
No.
Wasn't trying to do anything. And yes, it was a move where, like you said, the front brake kind of locked, the front tyre locked, and he had to, unfortunately, when it locked, that was it. That was game over.
Yeah.
Even while it's still on the bike, because once it's locked, and you're braking, you're hitting somebody if you have to you have a lock-in and crashing and skittling Jorge Martin out, or you're trying to get through that tiny little gap that there was. He obviously didn't make it, and maybe there's a thing where he could have maybe pulled to the left instead and not tried to dive up under anybody else, but I don't know, you're jostling for position and things like that, and these things do happen. But in the same way, it's interesting to say that people, they should be banned. Dennis Onshu got a ban 2 years ago at Kota for weaving on the straight and obviously causing an absolute horrific crash in Moto3, and I do agree with that one.
Oh, he fully deserved that one, but he learned from that decision, and he's also young and needs to be taught that these sorts of things aren't okay. Sorry, Marc Marquez is 30 and has never been given a race ban, as far as I'm aware. So
no.
To start giving him race bans now seems a bit contradictory when you've been letting him not get away with it, but handing him penalties that he can sort of serve in races, or time penalties, long laps, whatever it ends up being. But it's good to see that they're actually penalising the young riders now in these sorts of situations, so hopefully we won't get these sorts of incidents happening as younger riders move up throughout the class. But at the same time, you know, Marc Marquez is a very influential character and he should be penalised for his actions. And I think double
Yeah.
long lap penalty is a bit weird considering Johan Mir got a long lap penalty in the sprint race for taking Fabio Quartararo not even off. It was sort of like the incident in Assen last year where Fabio
Yeah.
took a leash out onto the
So
gravel.
it kind of matches Fabio's penalty then.
Yeah,
starting.
exactly. And it just seems a bit weird. That's what I said earlier. Like, what is a long lap penalty? What's a double long lap penalty? What should be a ban? What should be maybe be a time penalty
Yeah.
or a ride through? Or should they be looking at other penalties now rather than just going straight to race ban? I just don't think a double long lap penalty does much.
No, it's annoying because they had a really good point system back in a few years ago, maybe 2015. They had a really good 2016. Yeah, they had a point system. You know, if you get 2 points on your license, then you have to do a ride through. If you get 6 points on your license, Brad Binder was penalised with a back of the grid start, and that was due to those back in Jerez 2016, and that was
Yeah.
due to that point system. I remember Darren Binder having to start from the pit lane because of that point system, and then they abandoned it. And and if you got enough points, that would equal a race ban.
Well, that's what they
You know,
do in
Valentino-
Formula One. They
Yeah,
have
it's
their
what-
super license, and you get however many penalty points. I think it's like 10 or 12 or something, and then that's you race
Yeah.
ban. And I fully think, like Pecco Bagnaia brought it up last year, and I initially was like, nah, I don't know. And then I seen the F1 had it and was like, oh, actually, this makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, because MotoGP used to have it. It's why Valentino Rossi, I believe, obviously correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that's why Valentino Rossi had to start Valencia 2015 from the back of the grid, because he'd already accrued enough penalty points that when he was given, like, say, 3 penalty points after Sepang 2015,
Yeah.
it meant he was granted a back of the grid start, and things like that would be really good. I don't know why they got rid of it, to be honest, because you'd see a lot of Moto3 riders obviously penalised and things like that. And I'm not sure why. But then the thing that obviously Marquez is dominating headlines at the moment. Everywhere you look, it's Marquez, it's Marquez, it's Marquez. No one is saying a thing about Luca Marini absolutely destroying Enea Bastianini during the race.
And he didn't
It's a
get
sprint race.
a penalty because it was deemed as a racing incident. And this is where my issue lies in this entirety. It's mad. Did Taka Nakagami get a penalty last year for that mad crash where he took out Pecco and Alex Rins?
I'm pretty sure he did.
He did? Okay. I couldn't remember because I
Yeah.
also know he'd went on a bit of a rampage mid-season last year and I...
No, he wasn't. He wasn't
No?
penalised. He wasn't penalised, no.
No. So, I sat down with my dad and we were talking about this after the race on Sunday and I was like, Taka Nakagami didn't get one. Luca Marini hasn't gotten one and he's taken Enea Bastianini out for God knows how long. But yeah, Marc Marquez's one is deemed as, like over-aggression or whatever it was. Johan Mir obviously getting a long lap penalty as well. Again, sort of over-aggressive riding and ruining Fabio's race on the Saturday. And it's like, there's such a fine line between racing incident and being aggressive and being in the wrong that I don't even think the stewards know the difference now. And we're seeing it in all
No.
the classes. Like, they are fantastic at handing out penalties very quickly and they're very concise in what it is that they're giving out and why they're giving it out. But it seems to be that some people can get away with it and some people can't.
Oh yeah, some riders can absolutely get away with murder, it just seems. I think they're making an example a little bit of Marc Marquez. Maybe he needs to be made an example of.
Yeah.
Being like, you can't be doing this still. And the RNF Aprilia today produced a statement that they're basically, because we're recording this on Tuesday, part 2 will be recorded tomorrow on Wednesday, basically said that they're basically pushing for harsher penalties on reckless racing. Basically saying that aggressive behaviour can often lead to dire consequences for the riders themselves and the competitors, obviously with the team now losing their star man Miguel Oliveira for next weekend's race. Oliveira was very much, I think, could have battled for the win in
Yep.
Portimao, absolutely no doubt, to be honest. They said that the incident between Marquez and Oliveira should serve as a wake-up call for riders in MotoGP 2 and 3. It's imperative that they are reminded of the severity of punishment for any kind of reckless and irresponsible racing. They condemn the behaviour and strongly advocate for stricter penalties to deter future offenders, including the team's own riders. We urge the FIM stewards to take quick and decisive action against reckless riding, setting examples for younger and upcoming riders, which is absolutely understandable.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think that generally goes to Marquez, because again, Marquez was a thing where, like you say, he's braking harder, he's having to ride over his limit to try and, just basically race. But in future incidents, definitely there needs to be more kind of punishments handed out. Darren Binder, when he absolutely murked Dennis Foggia back in...
Yeah, but why was that a race or disqualification? You know what I mean? It doesn't
Yeah,
make
the
sense.
same corner. Same,
Yeah.
very similar incident
Yeah.
as well. And why was he... What else did he get? So Darren Binder, what was it? I think he started from last place, didn't
He
he?
was definitely disqualified from the race, I'm nearly
2021.
sure.
He was... Let's have a look. He apologises. So he's disqualified, obviously, as we know. That is it. From what I can see. I'm sure he...
Just
did he not get
disqualified?
more? Yeah.
Well, it was the last
I'm
race of the season, so I think that's probably why they
second to
disqualified
last,
him.
wasn't it?
Oh,
Yeah.
was it? Oh, yeah, Valencia
Yeah.
would have been after. Yeah.
That's right, yeah. And Aleix basically said that there needs to be a super license to stop. Because obviously then he went to MotoGP the year after.
Yeah.
But it's a strange one. How, obviously, Binder can do that to Foggia, get disqualified. Marquez has got a DNF to his name,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's really weird. I think especially when you compare it to Luca Marini now, Luca Marini, that was a complete accident, and
Yeah.
we knew that was going to happen to riders on the sprint race on Saturday, but very similar accidents. I know Marquez's was definitely more high speed and scary, but Luca
Yeah, he
Marini...
could have snapped.
Luca Marini made a
neck,
mistake as well, and I think he definitely needs to hold his hands up as well, and sort of be like, yeah, I made the mistake. He did go and apologise to Anea, as far as I'm aware, but
Yeah.
when you're taking riders out like that are now taken out of the championship, and that could be his championship over before it's even started, depending on how he recovers from this. I think the stewards should have looked into that one. Definitely.
Yeah, well, because I think Anea's going to try and come back for America. But, he's already lost from 2 races, he's already lost 74 points in the season with 777 points on the line. So, yes, 74 points isn't a horrendous deficit, but it's still 10% of the allotted points of the season.
Yeah.
And Bastianini's already lost in round 1. And there's a lot. Like, I think, what was it? Like, so many riders got injured this weekend. It was incredible. Like, Pol Espargaro's obviously nasty crash at the start of the weekend. It's like 12 riders now injured.
Yeah.
We've had like one race. Like,
Well,
Binder's actually went into the race weekend with an injury. Didier picked up an injury in the Portimao test as well.
yeah, he didn't look himself, in fairness, and ended the race early. I don't think it was because of his injury. I think it was a bike issue, but like he looked good in the test, had his crash, and then has not looked good since, which, when you have a concussion, I'm not surprised. He probably shouldn't even be racing, but here we are.
True.
Yeah. I think there's 4 in MotoGP or 5 in MotoGP that aren't going to be racing next week. Or this week.
Yeah, so 4 riders not racing, which is Marquez, Oliveira, Bastianini, and Pol Espargaro. 5 riders injured when you add
Martin.
Jorge Martin into that, who's obviously broken his foot,
Yeah.
to say obviously. And there's 5 Moto2 riders with Guevara and Ogura not even riding.
Yeah.
Obviously, Kelso's now broken his leg. Fellon's dislocated his shoulder. And you're like, what the hell's going on? It's round 1 of the season. How is everybody getting smashed to bits already?
Well, Joel Kelso's was completely like freak
fault.
accident and his fault, but like
Yeah.
no one could have predicted that to happen. Like that was just a moment of stupidity. You could
Yeah,
sort
taking
of
his hair off,
almost
like-
blame Holgado for slowing down too much. Maybe there should be limits on. I don't know. I don't really blame Holgado at all, but I'm
No,
trying to,
I
I'm
was
trying
gonna
to,
say.
I'm trying to make Kelso feel better. Like, bless him. Like, what a mad one to do. Like, he'd had such a good
Yeah.
race, and I don't know. He just absolutely nearly snipes down
Absolutely
Holgado.
Yeah, absolutely crazy seeds. Like, I couldn't believe it, to be honest. Like,
I didn't realize
Yeah, I
it
think-
had happened, and then we seen him lying there, and we're like, "Oh Jesus Christ!" And then we seen it was over the finish line, and we were like,
yeah.
"Oh my
You're like,
God!"
what the hell is happening? It's like when... Oh, do you remember Bo Benschneider crossed the line at Assen a few years ago, and he literally crashed sideways across the line.
Yeah.
Didn't actually. I think it was 2016.
There's been a few of them before. I'm nearly sure Marc Marquez has been involved in one of those slowing down incidents where people are sort of
Yeah,
cruising on the cool down lamp, which you're fully entitled to do, but you should be 100% diligent until you get into the pits and the bike is parked. Because, we've seen bloody crashes in Park Ferme and Sergio Garcia messing up the carpet last year and all, nearly taking half his team
yeah,
out. Like, you're on a motorbike. I don't understand why they just pretend like they're
yeah,
not.
yeah. It's like you're still on a high-speed machine.
Yeah.
It's like I think there needs to be a bit there needs to be a bit more consideration for riders that when you are crossing the line, you need to make sure that you're continuing a little bit. Like I get celebrating and all that as well, of course, but maybe wait a little bit, but then you need to be on it the whole time. Like why on earth is Joel Kelso taking I love Joel, he's a mate, but like why on earth are you taking a tear off as you cross the line?
Yeah, just after. And plus the 7 riders. So obviously Holgado won. Then he had 7 riders manage to go past Holgado. If you watch the replay, you'll be able to see this. And then Kelso is speeding up behind him. I don't know how he didn't see him. And then he goes down to take his tire off. And it's like, how did you not see? Did you just not judge how fast he was going in front of you or what? Like, I don't know how so many people managed to pass him safely. But Kelso was the one to clip him and did a lot of damage to obviously himself, the bike. Holgado probably is a bit sore after that too, but
Yeah, absolutely. He lost the back of his helmet, like his helmet ring. Holgado lost, and yeah, it's a weird one. Like there needs to be something. I don't know. Like you say, I think a lot of even the riders themselves maybe disregard the fact that they are still riding high-speed motorcycles and their lives are actually on the line, which maybe causes them to do silly things and act out, and then obviously we see incidents like that happen. Obviously it was a freak accident, but still a bit crazy. But then you look, going back to Marc Marquez, for example, with that incident and stuff, I think some riders maybe don't respect what they're doing, if that makes sense. To them, because it's so natural that they are riding a motorbike at these speeds and it's their job, it's their livelihood and all that, and for us looking in, you're like, this is serious, and it's only when something major happens, like Paul Espargaro having that crash, for example, on Friday, or Marquez obviously ramming into everybody, that they go, oh yeah, we are actually doing something really dangerous here, and maybe we should stop riding idiots sometimes.
I feel like that's what Alicia Spargo went through at the weekend. It was so clear, seeing your brother so hurt, not really knowing what condition he's in, and then to be going out, seeing riders in front of you pull off these crazy moves. Then you've got Sunday where they're doing the exact same thing again. I'm surprised he was even able to race in that mindset. I don't know how he managed to do that. It sort of brings them all back down to reality. I don't understand motorbike racers, because I always ask people when they come on the podcast, what do you do when you put the helmet on? How do you cancel out all the noise and get into race mode? And they all just go, oh, I don't know, it just happens. And I'm like, how? It doesn't make any sense how they're able to do that. And I think this weekend sort of showed us that maybe sometimes they should be brought back down to reality. It sounds a bit harsh, but I feel like, they sort of forget that they aren't superhuman.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe not necessarily arrogance, but it is kind of a case of oh, it won't happen to me kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then something like this happens, and it's like,
oh dear.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't control those around you either, so.
No, exactly. You're basically trusting everybody else to not ride like an idiot as well, which is tough.
Never gonna happen. Exactly.
No. Right, I think that's all we've got time for part 1. Which is great.
Fantastic.
Hey everybody, due to the power of editing, we are back. It's been 24 hours and we are back. Not that you'll know.
You'd never know.
Yes, but in the last 24 hours, some very interesting things have happened, including probably the main talking point being that HRC have released a statement basically stating that they are going to appeal the decision by the FIM to move Marquez's kind of long lap penalty from the Argentine Grand Prix to the next race that he will enter, which is fair from the FIM side. You know, if Marquez is unfit to ride, you know, he still needs to serve that penalty. You can't just do the crime and then not do the time. But I do think HRC have a very valid argument in the fact that on the paper, because when you get given these like penalties, you're given a form, the rider has to sign it, a member of the team has to sign it, and then a member of the FIM or the representative has to sign it, and that basically will solidify that you have to do this at this date. Otherwise, if you don't sign it, you can appeal it and go through that process again, but it was all signed and done and dusted. But that piece of paper had Argentine Grand Prix on it. And now Marquez isn't racing the Argentine Grand Prix. They've obviously elected to change that to the next Grand Prix he rides in, which goes against that kind of contract that they signed where Marquez will do this punishment at that race. So the HRC, have basically released a statement to the FIM, in a horrible font, by the way. It's horrific to read, and there's also a mistake on it that I was reading. I was like,
I didn't even notice. I'd hate the font, though. It's terrible. I really couldn't read it. I got halfway through and just stopped.
Yeah, it's rank. Well, they put regulation, and then uns on the next line. So,
brilliant.
Yeah, well done to the copywriter for that one. But basically, they've said that, if I can try and read this, the Honda team intends to use all the means of recourse offered by the regulations enforced to defend its rights and legitimate interests, which it considers violated as a result of the latest resolution adopted, and in particular has duly submitted an appeal before the FIM appeal stewards, basically saying that they've gone against their own rules and against their own ruling to punish Marc Marquez. It's a tricky one because I can see it from Honda's side completely. You know, they feel Marc Marquez has a chance at winning COTA, of course, because it's kind of his backyard. Probably be one of the only Grand Prix victories they'll get this year. Maybe Sachsenring as well, of course. But Honda really need all the points and prizes they can get this year. But Marquez did wrong. Therefore, needs to fulfill a punishment. Like, the smart thing to do, I would say, is for Marquez to go to Argentina, kind of struggle through all the free practices, try and set a qualifying time to qualify for the race, do his 2 laps during the main race, and then just pull back into the pits again.
Yeah, I've seen a few people saying that, actually. I mean, I don't know, I'm not, condoning that unfit riders go into race weekends, because obviously that opens another can of worms that
as
we really
Marquez found
don't want to get into, and there'd be a million more penalties handed out, but yeah, I think that is a pretty solid option, and it is probably something that they should have looked into, knowing when the stewards changed their mind and decided that he had to serve it at the next Grand Prix that he's fit to ride at. Like, just get it out of the way and do it. But yeah, I mean, even if it happens at COTA and it's still the same thing, he's not going to be fit. Like, just get on the bike, do what you have to do, get the penalty over with, and move on. Like, I think this has been dragged out a wee bit too long now, and now all the back and forth. Like, we thought it was settled yesterday or 2 days ago, whenever the hell it was now. And now HRC coming out this morning with another statement, using their complete and utter right to appeal their decision. Like, I don't think they've done anything wrong, but it's just, I think it's prolonging it longer than it needs to be. And I think both parties need to hold their hands up and just be like, let's sort this out together and reach an agreement together, sign another contract, and work something out.
Get it over with, yeah, because as well, it looks bad on HRC. You know, I've gone through, read all the social media comments and blah. Everybody's like, I am never buying another Honda again, never doing anything with Honda again, and everyone's going mad at him. Yeah, it's like a PR disaster, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think, obviously, Marquez needs to serve his penalty. He's obviously done wrong, and not serving that penalty would be wrong. But I completely appreciate Honda's kind of way of trying to get around it, of course. It's a business. There's a lot of money in MotoGP, and if the Starman can stand on the top step of the podium at COTA, they're going to do everything they can to ensure that he has every chance of doing so, especially after last year when, again, he had that chance and it was taken away from him as the race kind of started, and it kind of ruined his race.
Yeah, that was his own doing though at the start of last year. But like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh
every
yeah.
team's gonna try and give their rider the best possible chance of winning a Grand Prix, especially when it's somewhere like Coda, and Mark's
Mm.
track record there is so good. So I think Mark knows himself that he needs to serve this penalty. It's just really bad timing and luck on his behalf. I think he has sort of
Mm.
held his hands up since Sunday and been like, yeah, look, I need to have a penalty. It was really irresponsible, which I suppose is the best thing. At least he's self-aware of the fact that what he did was wrong. So
Mm.
it's not just awkward timing, and if he could have served it in Argentina, then he should have and would have done, and then it would have been over
Yeah.
with. But now that it's going to be dragged out extra weeks, bringing it to Coda, which is a track that he's good at, everyone's going to be annoyed in the situation, and it just prolongs it longer than it needs to be.
Yeah, because Cota's 3 weeks out now. Because it's not this
Yeah.
weekend. It's not the weekend after. It's the weekend after. So it gives everybody kind of a bit of time to write some headlines about it, basically, and just keep that kind of flowing. And so, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they go. I do think, genuinely, if it goes to, say, TAS or CAS, which is like the regulating bodies of these sports, Honda will have have FIM's pants down. I think Honda will win this all day, every day, because of the contract that they've legally signed.
Yeah.
I think Honda wins this every day of the week. But on the other side, although, yeah, Honda would win it, it's still a disaster for them PR-wise.
PR-wise,
really
then,
bad.
yeah, it's going to look worse on them if it goes down to that and then the penalty's like revoked and removed sort of thing, and he doesn't have to serve one. I think that's going to be so much worse in the media. Like, look at the shit he's already copped on the media for taking Miguel out from supposed fans and the media itself. If this turns out that he doesn't have to serve a penalty, that's just going to cause things to get a million times worse. Like, that's not the sort of PR that you want for your sport. Like, they're trying to grow the sport, and we're 1 week in, and this isn't the PR that anybody wanted coming into this season.
No, it's terrible. Like I don't know if you can see that, but those are all comments on the freaking post on my phone screen.
God.
Like, obviously the viewers can't see, but they're like, go on Instagram alone, my post has got 66 comments already about the whole thing. It's like, people are very opinionated and divided on it, and it's just, no matter the way you look at it, people will be unhappy about it.
Yeah.
And no one wins really, but it's just, I don't know.
Damage control at this point. It's gotten out of hand.
Yeah, it fully is getting out of hand. It'd be interesting to see how it goes out. I do think Honda have a genuine case, and I think they will win it, to be honest. I genuinely think Honda will win this case. But it will be interesting to see how it folds out, and because even if Honda win, the FIM will remember this, let's just say.
Yeah, things won't go down so well the next time that something like this happens.
No, that's it. So they've got to be wary of what they do, because Marquez isn't exactly afraid of causing controversy and getting penalties and things like that. So just kind of be careful with what you do, Honda,
And this isn't the first time that he's had an accident like this either. So, doing that again, I'm seeing more race bans and, disqualifications on the horizon rather than a double on that penalty.
Yeah, especially if everybody's like talking about stepping it up and
exactly
making them worse and harsher.
I think HRC need to choose their battles, and I'm a bit worried that they're going to take this one a bit too far, that, they're going to get shafted in the future.
Absolutely, yeah. But moving on from Marc Marquez, because people are probably a bit sick and tired of it now, hearing about it. Man of the weekend, and I almost said Nea Bastianini, his teammate Francesco Bagnaia.
I wish it was an Nea Bastianini.
I know, big shame. He's obviously missing the Temas de Rio. He's not being replaced as well. He won't be replaced in Argentina. I just read the press release from Ducati. Could see Pirro on the bike in America. I'd expect to see the Pirro on the bike. And then potentially maybe Jonas Folger replacing Paul, which would be nice.
I know Gasgas have said that they're not going to replace Paul for the next 2 races, and then...
The next 2?
Well, maybe just figure that out, but I read somewhere, now I can't remember where it's from, but I think they said out of respect it was going to be 2 races that they weren't going to replace him. But
I'm not sure, because the rule...
I could be wrong.
Yeah, the rule is if a rider's injured or you lose one of your riders within 10 days of the next Grand Prix, then you don't have to replace them. But obviously Austin is way out. So I
Way
think
out,
by the ruling
yeah.
they'll have to replace him. Probably so Callio or Folger or Pedrosa.
Pedrosa's he's gonna be sitting with his feet up somewhere. He doesn't want to
Yeah,
be
like,
riding
fuck this.
races.
See you later. I'm not going out there.
Yeah.
Everyone's getting injured. If there's one rider that doesn't want to go out whilst everyone's getting injured, it's Danny Pedrosa.
Yeah,
Because he'll end up coming back
exactly.
with a snap collarbone and
Yeah.
Just... But
No.
Bagnaia,
Definitely
yeah. No. On to Bagnaia though.
Yeah.
The absolute perfect package at this point. Like,
Wow.
superb from in obviously both races. Like, he wasn't afraid to kind of scrap and have a little bit of a battle, but he also was very, like, in the main race was able to kind of control Vinales behind him and make sure there was like a second between them. And I think now his mental strength, I think, is even higher than it was previously. And I really do think he obviously we're only one round in, there's still 20 rounds left, maybe 19. So there's either 40 or 38 races left. So it will be interesting to see, obviously, how it pans out over the season. But I really am worried for the rest of the grid now. I think if Bagnaia wins both races again this weekend,
It's over.
he has got an insane title lead already. And I think, obviously, we're so early into the season, he could break his leg in a track, obviously, God forbid. But I do think that package now with Bagnaia and Ducati, it's going to be difficult to beat him now, I think.
I think he has had the perfect start, and I think, like, obviously scoring all 37 points that are on offer, it's, tick number one. That's great. He's saying the bike, like, suits him down to the ground. That's tick number two. He's happy from the get-go. That's something that he didn't have last season. And then, unfortunately, his teammate's out, but for him, that's fantastic. He's thinking, great, my biggest rival is gone. I've got everyone on my side now. Everyone's going to be focusing on me. And then no one can get close to me either. Fabio was nowhere to be seen. Alicia Spagaro was nowhere to be seen. None of the other Ducatis could get near him. And yeah, Maverick Vinales was the only one. And like you said, he managed that race absolutely perfectly. So he has had the most fantastic start of the season. He's proving everyone wrong, which, he's done on multiple occasions. I am a big doubter a lot of the times when it comes to Pecco Bagnaia, and so far he's managed to completely shut me up every single time. So, I mean, fair play to him. I'd like to see a few more hurdles put in his way. I don't want to just see the championship wrapped up after flipping two rounds and us just going, great. So we're just going to sit here for a year talking about how great he is. But yeah, I think people will come back stronger, midway to the second half of the season. But if he gets a big enough lead, he will just be able to be the puppet master of this championship and just control it how he wants. Yeah,
that's it. And it's worrying for Yamaha to see Fabio Quartararo so far down. Like, he finished 8th in the main race, and then where did he finish in the sprint?
10th in the sprint.
He bagged, like, what was it, like 8 points, was it?
8 points.
37?
Yeah, 8 points, because we run a little...
he was out of the points in the sprint race.
Yeah, we run a little fantasy league in my family, and he's one of my riders, and silly Marc Marquez was one of my other riders, and both of them had the worst weekend ever. So I scored 8 points at the weekend in my family fantasy league, so that went well.
Ouch.
Yeah,
so I think unless Fabio can find something, which I was going to say that maybe Portimao's a bit of a bogey track for him, but he won there last year. And now we're going to Cota. No, we're going to Termiceria, which has a very long straight. So Ducatis will be all over him there. Then you got the Cota, again, a very long straight on it. And he struggled 6th last year.
It's going to be Europe before Yamaha can fully assess where they're at. And I know we started in Europe, but I feel like the first race of the season never goes well for Yamaha, apart from Maverick Vinales winning in 2021.
Yeah.
But I feel like the first couple of races of the season, usually it's Qatar, then Argentina, we had Indonesia and all last year too. Like, I just think some of the teams are going to need a little bit more time. And then I think we'll see Yamaha's full potential come like Jerez, Le Mans, Mugello. And then we can decide if it is really as much of a horror season that we think it's going to be.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Like, because like you said, Yamaha I don't know. They're weird because Qatar seems to always be a decent one. Like Fabio Quartararo obviously won
Yeah.
his debut there. Vinales won there, and then he won there in 2017. Valentino Rossi won there. Jorge Lorenzo won there. At a track that's predominantly a Ducati circuit. Obviously, Enea Bastianini won there last year. But yeah, it always seems to be when we come back to Europe that's where Fabio kind of comes into himself. Like he got his first Grand Prix victory at Jerez, for example. Jerez's always been like pretty good to him,
Yeah.
but there's also tracks where the Ducati just looks to excel on,
Yeah.
and the Ducati just looks like it's literally good at every single track. Now I can't think of a single track where Ducati can't bag a podium. Like if a Ducati doesn't finish on the podium in any of the races this year, I'll be very surprised.
I think we could see it. We
You think?
could.
We
With
could see the
Aprilia being
Aprilia,
strong.
yeah.
And I do think there is chance for Fabio to have some good races.
Oh yeah,
There's KTMs as well. I mean, Brad Binder and Jack Miller looked
KTM is
unbelievable.
very intriguing. Yeah,
Yeah, so I think there is a possibility of that definitely, but it would take a lot for it to happen.
absolutely. I think that's it. I think the closest rivals now to Ducati are Aprilia.
Yeah.
And I do think Maverick Vinales, I hope that it wasn't a bogey, this main race where he managed to have a really good start. You know, he didn't fall halfway down the field like he normally does this time round. And he was able to obviously battle and finish within 7/10 of the victor, Francesco Bagnaia, here. If Vinales can maintain this kind of these good starts, sorry, because he always comes good in the end of the races and
Yeah.
never from like lap one. But if he can start to have that kind of thing across the entire race, I fully believe that we'll see Vinales win a race this year. I'm undeniably at this point. My wording is terrible today, isn't it? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no,
Um,
I do think Maverick will stand on the top spot at some point this season. Whether or not he's a championship hopeful, I think, is another thing.
Yeah,
I don't know. He
'cause
wasn't
he's
consistent
lacks that
enough last year.
consistency.
Yeah, last year was a bit of a mess for him. But I mean, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because it was his first full season on the Aprilia. Obviously, he only had a couple of races at the end of 2021. So this is a very big year for him, especially when you've got two guys looking to perform well now on the satellite bikes. Like that's added pressure. You know, you thought you were nice and comfortable in this team that has a really good environment and you work well with your teammate and everyone around you, and now you've got two younger guys sort of looking at you being like, well, if you're not performing, I'm coming to take your factory seat
Yeah,
now.
that's it. Especially with Miguel Oliveira finishing ahead of Aleix Espargaro in
Yeah.
the sprint race, and then he would have obviously potentially anyway. Obviously, we don't know for sure. Oh wait, no, Oliveira finished behind Miguel. Sorry.
Oliveira finished behind
Wait,
Miguel.
Miguel. Yeah, well done, Declan. Oliveira finished behind Aleix, sorry, in the sprint race, but only like one position behind, within a second of him. And Aleix finished in ninth in the main race, and Oliveira could have battled him for the victory.
Oh
I
yeah,
think,
he
that
would have
race
been
long.
top 5 easy
Yeah.
in that race.
So that also puts a target on Aleix's back, as although like he had an amazing year last year, you're only as good as your last race, unfortunately. And Miguel's openly said he is gunning for a factory seat at Aprilia. So they both have to kind of step up the game and make sure they are on it. Obviously, Argentina is a good track for Aleix Espargaro,
Yep.
but it doesn't mean to say that he can repeat last year's success. Obviously, it'd be amazing if he can.
I'd say he
But
might be able to.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him on the podium, that's for sure.
Yeah. I'd put money on it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But that'll be a really interesting one, I think, because I don't know. Aprilia, like we said, I think they've got what it takes now to really battle for a championship. But can they topple Bagnaia? That's going to be the one where it's going to be very intriguing.
This might be controversial in saying, I just don't like. I think the bike is there now, but are the two riders that they have with them the riders that can bring a championship home?
No, it's probably, unfortunately, I don't know. Aleix, no, I don't see it every season. Vinales, if
Has
he can
the
be
potential,
consistent,
yeah.
yeah.
But he never, like, how close did he get when he was on the Yamaha? You know,
Third was best, yeah.
third. So I don't know. I'd be looking at, I'd be looking at the younger talent now and the riders in
Yeah.
your satellite team, sort of going, okay, the bike's here now. We've got the experience and we've got these two fantastic riders. But if the performances don't come in this season, they're going to want someone who's going to be able to win the championship. Like, they've got this far. Why would they stop now?
Yeah, and now Aprilia are obviously doing as well as they can, well as they are doing, and are obviously looking at being a really good bike. They now have the ability to command talented riders.
Yeah. They can pick
And
now. They can pick and choose,
they can
basically.
pick.
Yeah.
And there is a very talented rider in Moto 2 that I'm sure everybody's eyes are on for next year in the name of Pedro Acosta. I wouldn't be surprised if Ducati and Aprilia and everybody else are getting their checkbooks out to pay him absolutely top dollar to have him on their bike, because I can't see and don't want to see Pedro Acosta on a KTM for obvious reasons.
I think Pedro Costa doesn't want to be on a KTM, though.
I doubt he wants to be on a KTM. No, he'll be doing like the Jorge Martin and Ralph Fernandez thing of thanks for getting to move to MotoGP, but see you later.
Yeah. I don't know why I still think he's going to go to Honda, even though the bike isn't good. But I just think that would like rewrite history and be really cool if he
can
win.
get on a Honda, that'd be nuts.
And win. Like, I just really want it to happen. And I've never been that big of a fan of Honda, but I just think it would honestly be the most incredible thing ever.
Be like Rossi in 2004 kind of thing.
Like, let's just repeat history a little bit here.
Yeah, but I think Pramac Ducati will probably have their eyes on Pedro, but these riders, Aleix and Vinales, of course they're on kind of 2-year deals now, but they can't get complacent. They can't just sit around and go, yeah, we're on 2-year deals, because Pedro Acosta, Tony Arbolino, all these Moto2 riders. Obviously, Aaron Kennett's probably going to be gunning for a seat next year in MotoGP as well. If Salach can continue this upward trend, then he's going to be gunning for one. Manuel Gonzalez will be gunning for Morbidelli's seat, and then Morbidelli could go to Aprilia or something like that. You know, so these two riders, they can't get complacent with where they are. And Aleix, like we said, had an amazing season last year. And I know it's only been one race, and he finished 9th, which is great. But it's not the Aleix we're used to now. The Aleix we're used to now
How weird
is
is
getting
that
silverware.
to say?
It's odd.
See, 3 years ago, if you'd said Alicia Spagger would be battling for the championship, and that's not that long ago, you'd be like, no, like,
You're like, no chance,
you're joking
bro.
with me here.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see because, yeah, I do think, like we said, Vinales could have the potential now to battle for the championship, provided he can maintain these starts to the races, maintain that kind of consistency of the opening laps. Because if he can, and he can battle with Bagnaia, I think Vinales could beat Bagnaia in a straight battle. Obviously, Bagnaia is not afraid to have a scrap.
Oh, see, I was going to say I was saying, I think if it came down to like having to put your elbows out sort of thing, close racing, I would put my money more on Bagnaia after the last after last season and like the battles he had with Marc Marquez a wee while ago as well. That's 2 seasons ago now. Like, he's shown he actually can handle the pressure at the front battling with someone. It's more when he gets stuck behind a few riders that he's not at the front. But, you know, the race on Sunday sort of proved that maybe he's finally worked on that. And, you know, he took his time and then got to the front and away he went. So I would actually put my money on Bagnaia over Vinales if it was between those two.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I appreciate that. I guess only time will tell.
Well, yeah, Maverick needs to prove me wrong now and show me that he's still got it and, you know, he can go out and win races. But at the minute, Pecco looks like the stronger package.
Yeah, he looks absolutely outstanding at the moment. Another guy who looked outstanding, there was a few. Marco Bezzecchi looked incredibly good.
Not surprised.
Nope. But where the hell did Johan Zarco come from?
Typical Johan Zarco fashion, though. Like, start of the season, straight off the blocks.
But like he was like, I think 7th or 8th in the last few laps.
I think he made 4 overtakes in the last lap. Don't quote me on that, though. I've thrown out some mad ones already this episode.
He was 7th on the 24th lap, and on the last lap he finished 4th.
See?
What the hell?
I don't know what happened to him, but it was incredible.
Gave him a shot of Red Bull, didn't he? Like, because he was gunning on. He wouldn't have been able to get Marco Bezzecchi, but he managed to pass. Obviously, one of the KTM's, I think I would say Binder, Marquez for the lead. No, not for the lead, for 4th place.
The pass on Alex Marquez was incredible.
Oh, and he got past Miller. I didn't see that. I didn't see it, unfortunately, but
no, it was good.
Yeah, it's just like
Well, it was that one and that pass on Alex Marquez, and then Marc Marquez's double pass in the sprint
That was
race. They were the
crazy.
two overtakes of the weekend, and people had to vote
Yeah.
for them. But like
Ah, okay.
Zarco was on one, and I want to see more of
Yeah.
it, and I want to see a backflip. Whether it's a sprint race or a Sunday race, it needs to happen this year.
We need a backflip this year.
Yeah.
Finally. Like, it's been years. Like, literally 2016? Was
Yeah.
2015, 2016? 2016.
Yeah.
It's been too long. But yeah, and Alex Marquez as well. Like, Ducati debut, 5th place.
Very good.
Very
good.
impressed. Very, very, very impressed. I think he's found his home there at Ducati now, and I think that we could see probably maybe a win from Alex Marquez.
I definitely think podiums. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm worried about DJ Antonio now being his teammate. Obviously, we had Enea Bastianini last year, but Enea had a position to move to in, going to the full factory team. Whereas now, if you've got Alex Marquez, he's maybe going to stay here now for a couple of years. He's sort of building his base and he's going to want to get performances here. What do they do with Digi, especially with so much young talent, like you mentioned, Philip Salaj, and I think Tony Arbolino would be in a shout with the Grassini seat as well. Like,
yeah, he would be, absolutely, yeah.
I think I'd be very worried if I was Digi.
I would be, yeah, because to give DG credit, he looked really good in the preseason tests.
Yeah.
Looked spectacular. I was like, this is finally the DG that we know.
Yeah.
But he had a crash during the Portimao tests, got injured. He had to retire from the race on lap 15. Not 100% sure why, unfortunately. But it's kind of like he showed a lot of promise in the preseason, and then I'm hoping it's just the injury. Yeah.
So you do sort of wonder how much that's still plaguing him. Like, it's only been a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
should he even be on a bike? Probably not. But
we know what MotoGP safety protocols are like.
Yeah,
so.
But here we are. So I'm not surprised. But yeah, I'd be a bit more worried if it was like mid to late season, if he still wasn't putting the performances in.
Yeah, because
I think the team would be ready to look at new people.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because like these opening 8 rounds, for example, are vital for riders to secure their seats for next year.
Yeah.
If you're not performing these opening 8 rounds, teams will start to look elsewhere already. The fact that Jorge Lorenzo was replaced at Ducati by Mugello, is crazy.
Alex Marquez was replaced on the Repsol Honda before he'd even raced on it.
Yeah, because he did 1 full year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's right. Yeah, it was very early on anyway. They kind of were like, right, we signed Paul for next year. And he was like, okay, that's great.
I don't even think they'd raced yet. Like, I think that's how early in the season it was announced, which was
pretty damn
ridiculous.
Early. Was it 2020 season as well, the COVID year? Yeah, it was, yeah.
And he got podiums and all. Yeah.
Yeah, and he went and got podiums, and it was like...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's... The contracts in MotoGP, like, it is getting earlier and earlier every year, but you kind of got to jump now. For example, Pedro Costa, I guarantee you, is already having talks with manufacturers for next year in MotoGP.
He would have had talks with MotoGP manufacturers from winning that Moto3 World Championship, though.
100%. Well, the fact that Fermin Aldega's had talks with MotoGP factories as well, and that was from, like, races last year.
Yeah. Well, that shows that his teammate will be the same now as well. Alonso Lopez has to be in chats with people. Aaron Canet, Ayagura, probably going to go to LCR Honda. There's a lot of ones. Apparently, Jorge Martin's already signed a contract with Yamaha. Is what?
Really?
I'm nearly sure BT Sport said something along those lines at the weekend.
Yeah, that's intriguing. Maybe a pre-contract. I'm not sure. I've literally heard.
Or they've at least been in talks, but that was sort of what they were saying at the weekend, which is very interesting. I know it was sort of rumored last year that that's probably where he's going to go, but that's massive if it's already this early on in the season. Unless it's just a bit of trying to start rumors, but I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if he had. Although I don't know why he would want to move from a Ducati to a Yamaha.
I was going to say, let's go from the best bike on the grid to the one that finished in last place.
Would you get in a factory seat, I suppose?
Yeah, I mean...
I know he's on a factory bike, but it's not the same as being part of the full factory team. And I suppose, you dream of being a MotoGP rider, you dream of being on, like, a Honda or a Yamaha, You don't
And
you
they
don't
got
want to be in
history
a
to back
satellite
it,
team.
and
Yeah.
yeah, I get that on one hand, but on the other hand, it's
Don't throw
like
it away.
don't throw your career away for the sake of just having it. Like how Crutchlow, he went and got a factory Ducati seat, lasted 1 year, bought his contract out, and spent the rest of his career on satellite bikes.
Yeah,
And he has a Honda squad because he realised, oh no, wait, the grass isn't always greener. Shit.
exactly. Yeah, and now look
So
at him now being Yamaha's test rider, having the time of his life, you know.
yeah, yeah, and he gets to ride in the factory colours when he wants. You know, it's
Yeah.
like he's kind of made it there, but. If that is true, that's interesting because I remember you mentioned Alonso Lopez, and there was motorsport.com kind of made a
Yeah, see,
thing.
he's been one, and then Fermin Aldeguer's also been linked. He was the
Mm,
one initially linked with Yamaha early
yeah,
last year. Then, you know, because Alonso Lopez sort of burst onto the scene, it was all about him. And then when Enea
mm,
Bastianini signed for Ducati, it was all the rumours then that Jorge Martin was going to want to leave and go to Yamaha because he
yeah,
got he didn't get picked, I should say.
yeah. It's intriguing. Like I said, like basically motorsport.com broke a story that said that Yamaha are looking obviously getting 2 bikes back on the grid next year with the team, with Manuel Gonzalez and Alonso Lopez on them.
Yeah.
And it was already signed. And then Alonso Lopez made a post where he literally wrote, he signed a Yamaha at home and was like, this is the only signature I've given on a Yamaha, with a photo of a signature on a Yamaha. Kind of debunking it all. Because
Yeah.
obviously he needs to make sure his options are fully open as well. And
Yeah.
if people think he's signed to Yamaha, he's going to be like, they're not going to go to him anymore because they think he's already kind of tied up. But it's going to be very interesting, I think, to see how it goes. I'm intrigued as well with Johan Mir and Alex Rins. I know Johan Mir obviously had his long lap penalty during the race, but 10th and 11th on their Honda debut in a race where 14 people finished.
Where'd Nakagami finish?
12th. So it was literally Rins, Mir, Nakagami.
A win for Rins, though.
Alex wins. Haha.
Alex wins indeed. Not quite where I wanted him to finish, but to be the top finishing Honda.
Is pretty good as on his debut. He said that he couldn't overtake on it.
I
Which
think
is-
he'll make it work.
hope
I have a
so.
lot of faith in him.
I do as well. He's a very talented rider, as we know. You don't do what he's done in his career by not being a talented rider, but Honda just is hilarious. You look back to like 10 years ago, that Honda was the bike to be on. If you were on
Yeah.
that Honda, you are set. And now if you're on that Honda, it's like, oh crap.
But that's why I'm saying I want Pedro Acosta to sign for Honda because of how, like, the history of it and how amazing it would be.
Oh yeah.
Like, but in the last, well, since 2019, they haven't provided a bike that's been a championship contender even. So, yeah, I'm not really sure what they're doing, why they're doing it the way that they're doing it, but yeah, it's weird. And for Alex Rins to be in 10th, like, great for him on his debut, but also, you know, if you're looking at those sorts of performances later on in the season, a 10th place is not gonna cut it.
Not gonna cut the mustard. No, it's Is that on? I wouldn't say that's on Rins though.
No.
Same with Mir. I wouldn't say it's on them again. It's on Honda. And when you've got Ducati and Aprilia doing so well, and KTM obviously in 6th and 7th, with Miller hopping on that KTM and instantly doing really well in 7th place, which
Not
although
surprised.
Miller, no, I'm not either. Like Miller will be unhappy with the 7th. I think he even said he's unhappy with the 7th. But to hop on a bike in your debut race and do that well and finish within a 10th to your teammate who's been on that bike for years now, very impressive. And it just shows that there is actually a lot more in the bag for Jack Miller, I think. And I think, again,
Yeah.
that KTM mix with him and the KTM, I really think can do quite well this year.
Well, yeah, KTM have probably one of the biggest wins taking Jack Miller because you're taking someone who has been on the Ducati, who's been on the
Knows their
championship winning
strengths.
bike. He knows exactly what makes that Ducati go well, and he will be putting every single part of that onto the KTM
Oh,
if he
yeah.
can. And they'll want to listen to him, is the thing. Like, he's not going to have any worry of his team not listening to him. Where I know some other riders have that issue at the minute, where the teams just aren't listening. Whereas with KTM, they're going to be ears open,
All over
wanting
it,
to
yeah.
know what's going on. And I can see him outperforming Brad Binder this year.
I do as well. And Jack Miller has a massive advantage in the fact that he has spent the last few years riding a Ducati, and
Yeah.
the 22 and the 23 won't be too different. Like
No.
the similarities with them, they'll be more similar than they are different. So Jack Miller will know every part of that Ducati. For the most part, I would say 99% of that Ducati, he'll know where the strengths are, where the weaknesses are, what he can do on that KTM to exploit where Ducati aren't
Yeah.
very good, and he can really extract that extra thing that Binder won't be able to, because obviously Binder's experience is only with KTM. So that will be interesting to see as the season goes on. Obviously, as the Ducati develops more in the future, obviously that advantage will dissipate and disappear. But for the
But
moment,
he knows Pecco though as well. I think that's massive. Like I know some of
mm,
the academy riders will know Pecco as well, but like they were teammates that got on, which is I mean most of the teammates do seem to
quite
get
rare.
on, but really rare with the fact that Pecco Bagnaia was actually like wanting Jack Miller
Good
to
mate.
stay. Yeah, and he was like, no,
Yeah.
I don't want to change teammates at all. So I think that's a
Mm,
massive thing. Whereas you usually don't really hear that, and teammates come and go. So that I think is massive that he knows how Pecco works and how his
mm,
mind works and how he'll be thinking in races, as well as knowing the strengths and the weaknesses of the bike. To know the strengths and the weaknesses of a rider too, I think will be good for him, definitely.
yeah, it really will help him to kind of obviously develop as a rider, but obviously help develop the KTM, like we've said, and kind of push that KTM in a direction where it is competitive in all places, because he can literally just go, well, the Ducati do this, so just do this and you'll be fine.
And they're throwing money at it as well. Like
Yeah, and they've
Red
got
Bull want it, so they're gonna keep doing it.
they've got literally they're backed by one of the most richest sponsors in MotoGP at the moment, obviously with Red Bull. So they're going to do all they can to get there, and they what else did they do? They had at the Sepang tests, they had Red Bull Racing techs there, and people from the Red Bull Racing Formula One team.
Yeah, I'd seen that. See, that's massive. If they start getting F1 involved, and I know some teams have, certain people who have worked in F1
Yeah, like
before.
Aprilia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think to actually get
Current
more
techs on there
backing, the current
from the
team
F1
that's,
World
yeah,
Champions.
like that's massive. And the Red Bull F1 car this year is obviously head and shoulders above everyone else's as well. So if you've got people that are working on a championship winning car in one series, it's only going to be so long before you get a championship winning bike.
Mm.
Theoretically, anyway, if they keep putting these resources and money into it, you'd like to hope that eventually it would pay off.
You'd hope.
We'll
It's
see.
wishful thinking, I know,
Yeah.
but that's it. But like having basically, if you can use all the resources you've got to your advantage, then they're going to do it. And obviously with Ducati, they're involved with Audi and Lamborghini and things like that, and they can use the advantages of Audi, for example, with their wind
Yeah.
tunnels, with their engineers, and with their kind of talent that they have.
Well, KTM
They,
are taking a leaf out of Ducati's book and they're putting the time and the effort in. I don't think it'll take them as long as it took Ducati to get up to the front.
no, it took them what? How many years did it take them to win their first Grand Prix? It was barely anything. They were faster than Aprilia to do
Yeah.
it, and when in 2020 when Oliveira won that Austrian Grand Prix,
Yeah.
it was quick. We know KTM can turn a bike around very quickly, and having riders like Jack Miller and all that on it as well.
With
Yeah.
experience, yeah.
Very, very good.
All they need to
But
do
yeah,
is work on their satellite team and
that's
continue
it.
to bring a good crop of riders up with them. I think is a
Yeah.
massive thing in riders that are going to be good for the bike to gather data, knowledge, and work together to build a championship winning team, not just produce riders and then give them nowhere to go when you get to MotoGP. Because there's a lot of people who probably wouldn't want to go to a KTM based on the fact that they know they're going to get kicked out at the end of the season. Like, I know we
Yeah.
already joked that Augusto Fernandez is out the door, but like,
hmm
genuinely, he could be out the door at the end of the season. So, I think that's a massive thing that they need to do is create that space that they have in Moto 2 and Moto 3 and actually get their riders to MotoGP and then fob them off on the other teams, you know.
Yeah, that's it. Because it just seems like the obviously Tech 3 squad are just lacking. They're just way far behind. They were way far behind last year. They're way far behind this year. I know obviously they've only kind of got one rider at the moment, but Paul Espargaro, he did look good, to be fair. He looked all
Yeah.
right. But now he's injured and he's going to be out for like probably 6, 7, 8 rounds now.
If he
And so,
comes back, that's a massive crash to come back from.
yeah,
That's
like
crazy.
Alicia Spargo. I know Paul himself posted a photo on Instagram yesterday, and you saw his arm was just black with bruises.
Well, he had like one of those tubes up his nose as
Did
well,
he? I
so he's
didn't
not.
see that.
I'm nearly sure he did, so I don't even think he's eating at the minute.
No, well, his jaw's broken. It had to be
Well, there you go. Yeah.
desiccated, so it had to
Well,
be
that'll be why
fitted
then. It's
again.
probably like wired shut or something. So yeah, he had
Yeah,
like
just
a
looking
tube
now,
up
yeah.
his nose, so they'll be feeding him through that.
Savage, isn't it? Absolutely savage. Like,
Scary.
yeah, and there's a bucket of piss as well.
Yeah. Well,
Nice.
yeah, I assume with a fractured back, he's probably not getting up to go to the toilet either.
No.
So
But yeah, so like they've lost kind of their star man with Pole because they're investing in Pole because he knew how to turn that bike into a race winning machine. You know, his development was absolutely fundamental for KTM to
yeah,
get to where they got. And so losing Pole now again after just hiring him back is a nightmare for KTM as well. But they do have obviously a very strong test rider setup with Jonas Folger, with Mika Kallio, with Danny Pedrosa, of course.
yeah,
But they just need that extra 0.1% that
yeah.
I think they will find thanks to Jack Miller. I think that will definitely help them push them in the right direction.
Yeah, I think if they had Paul though, it would like that was a step in the right direction to getting that sort of team together to work on the satellite bikes and on the factory bikes. But now you've just got Augusto Fernandez, who's a rookie who hasn't done terribly. Like I think he's done
He
quite
beat
well.
Morbidelli.
Exactly, and that is impressive to already be beaten. Well, is it impressive to beat Yamahas? We don't know, but
Mm,
yeah, to be a rookie and so to be scoring points and stuff already, like that's good. But he just
mm,
doesn't have the knowledge that Paul Espargaro has, and I think that'll be massive for their development throughout the year. So they're definitely going to want to have their test riders or someone in as soon as they can.
yeah. It's like Danny Pedrosa's walk on at Jerez, isn't it? Round
Oh
4.
yeah, I'm
They need as
surprised he's
much
agreed
data
to
as
that.
possible. I do as well because I didn't think he'd ever do another one. He said they didn't want to do another one, and then he's doing another one. They must be paying him well.
Yeah, fair enough. He must get bored sitting at home and then he does it and think,
Yeah.
why do I do this again? And
Yeah, why
then
am I
goes
doing
through
this
a
shit?
vicious cycle of,
Yeah.
oh yeah, okay, I'll do it again. And then he's like, why
Yeah,
did I
fuck
say
it.
yes to that?
Literally. Oh, poor Danny. Right, moving on to Moto 2 and 3, and then we'll go to our predictions. In Moto 2, it was, of course, the perfect Pedro Acosta taking the victory. From what it looked like, very easy for Pedro Acosta. Probably was just riding off, cooked, just giving it half the beans and just storming to another victory ahead of Canet. I think that's his 10th second place now.
Yeah, how sad.
That is devastating for Anthony
And
Canet.
he wasn't wearing his bow tie. Like I know he broke the bow tie
He
last year,
snapped it,
but
yeah.
it's gone. They haven't made a new one. He hasn't
No.
carried on any of the jokes. He looked really, I don't know, angry in Park
Oh, yeah.
Ferme. So,
I would be. 'Cause,
but
like, he was like trying to break the duck, break the curse, and yet now
yeah.
there's some fucking jippy little 18-year-old
Comes
who's
in,
been in
yeah.
his third fucking season in the Grand Prix and he's winning the race ahead of you and making you look like a right idiot.
But that's the thing. I genuinely think that Pedro Acosta was just having him on a wee bit in that race. Like
Oh
he
yeah,
pulled away
toying
when he
with him.
needed to. He came back, making it think that Canet had a shot. Canet could never get just close enough to even attempt an overtake. And you have to manage a race so well to be able to do that. I think Pedro Costa was playing with him and knew fine rightly what he had left in the tank, whereas I think Aaron Canet left pretty much everything out there and
Yeah.
couldn't get close enough, which is pretty soul destroying, I would say. But I do think he'll win a race this season. He
I hope
looks like
so.
he means business
Yeah, he does. He does look like you wouldn't want to meet him in a pub. He looks terrifying. I
down
think
a
he.
dark alleyway.
Yeah, jeez. Like he's rapid. We know he's rapid. He's a little like
Yeah.
pocket rocket. He just needs to put it all together, and that's going to be the hardest thing. But
He needs
Tony
to win.
Arbolino, yeah, he does. I think
Because
once he
he'll
wins that
not go to
race,
MotoGP if he doesn't win.
Alicia Spargo says what? But no, I know what you mean. Like if he,
Not in
I
this
think
day and
they-
age when everyone else has
True.
been winning races.
It's true. I think if he can win that one race, I think he'll once he's got it, he'll do like Miguel Oliveira did when he won his first Moto 2 race and then
Yeah.
couldn't stop winning. Bagnaia, he won that first race and bang, that was it.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting, I think. And then Tony Arbolino as well. coming
Where did
through the
that come
pack.
from? Like, that
I
was
know.
great.
He is really looking good this year. Again, I could very much see him on a Pramac Ducati next year, MotoGP.
I
He
would
looks
pay to
super
see
good.
that. And do you know the thing about it though? He's got like the character as well. Like, he's
Mm,
fun to watch on and off track, and I think MotoGP are gonna want to keep riders like that who are, bubbly and attract the fans off the track as well. Because I feel like we
yeah,
don't have as much as that of that anymore, where that we have these really big characters, doing
yeah.
funny celebrations and joking off the track, and he's friends with Fabio and like Ayumi Sasaki and Jake Dixon, all those sort of ones that sort of hang about a bit together. It's fun
Mm,
to see, and you want to bring fans in for the off track stuff as well. I think Tony Arbolino's a really good shout for that.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, he's a
Like,
fun guy, and
he's
he.
marketable is
Yeah.
the
Oh,
thing.
yeah. Just as a
Yeah.
brand, Tony Aprilia is marketable. So yeah, he looked really good, and then Salach fourth place.
Another one, fantastic.
Yeah, another
Another
one. I really.
marketable one, like,
Yeah,
incredible.
I think Salach will go far this year.
Yeah.
Um, Ironic because Red Bull dropped in due to a lack of results, and then he's banging on door of podiums.
Sometimes that's the
Um,
best way to do things, though. You get
yeah,
those hardships and then just prove everyone
yeah,
wrong.
can't prove everything wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Manu Gonzalez got another fifth place. I'm sure he's sick of seeing the number 5 at this point. It's matching his best result in the class again. But
Really
Manu
good bike,
Gonzalez
though.
again,
I'm obsessed with that livery. That is a
it's
really, really good looking
gorgeous, isn't it?
bike.
It's
Yeah.
great. It looks sick. But yeah, like he again, Manu Gonzalez. I wouldn't be surprised if he wins the race this year. Unbelievably talented rider. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, we've already, oh yeah, I was gonna say, oh yeah, we're having another podcast because I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I've never met anyone like that before who backs himself so much. Like,
Yeah,
we've spoken to quite a few people now, but that stunned me when we spoke to him about
yeah, his
how
confidence
much
was off the
he thinks he's
charts.
gonna win the championship. Like, fair
Yeah,
play.
yeah,
Absolutely
straight
fair
away it
play.
was like, I'm winning the championship. Like, obviously all riders are going out there to win the championship, but he was very much like, no, I'm winning this championship no
But
matter
it
what,
wasn't
you know.
cocky either. Like, he wasn't up
It was
himself about it. He
confidence.
was just
Yeah,
genuinely backing himself
yeah,
100%. And yeah, that's massive, and that will pay off to him over
yeah,
time.
hugely. And yeah, it's really good result from him. And then obviously we had Jake Dixon, Sam Lowe's in 6th and 7th. Expected a bit more from Dixon.
Yeah, we didn't qualify well, so I'm not holding too much against him. But at
No,
the same time, you can't blame yellow flags. Maybe you should have already
yeah,
had a fast lap in there. You need to go out, put a fast lap in, because you don't know what's going to
get your
happen.
banker. Yeah,
Exactly. You need something. Do what Ayumi Sasaki did in Moto3. Put your lap in early and then just go sit in the pit box
yeah,
and let
and
everyone
Fanati
else
did it as
stress.
well. And
Yeah,
yeah,
that's the
just
best way
well,
to do
not
it.
Fanati these days, but yeah. And it's a shame for Vietti though. I really do think he could have been in with a scrap for the win. Obviously, he had his double lap penalty.
Yeah.
Pushing down the order, big shame. Another rider, Darren Binder, I think could have been up there, but again he crashed.
Oh, he was
But
fantastic.
the fact that he crashed, remounted, and still finished 16th is actually genuinely impressive.
Goated. He's going to be on the podium this year, I
Mm.
think. Like, if we get some weird races like we did last year, I could see him capitalizing on it. Well, the fact
Yeah,
that he was running inside
absolutely.
the top 10 as a rookie, like, everyone needs to remember he is a rookie. Like,
Yeah,
it's
which is
it's
weird.
mad, weird to say, but pretty mad.
Yeah,
I actually think he's going to be a bit of a surprise package. I completely forgot that he was in the class until the race started, and I was like, wait a
yeah.
second.
You're like, what?
Yeah.
It's I think him and his teammate, Lucas Tolovic, who is injured unfortunately. I think both of them could do really well.
Yeah.
Lucas Tolovic is the European champion.
Yeah.
European Moto2 champion. I think there's some good things coming from there. And another rider who impressed me was Sergio Garcia, finishing in with 15th with 1 point on his debut in Moto2 as the top rookie. Yeah, fastest rookie as well. Really solid start. Obviously, it's weird because obviously he's about the same height as Foggia and Dalla Porta.
He looks
So
tiny on
he's
the bike.
midget. He's a little midget. He looks like a little baby. I think he's only like 19, maybe 20 now.
Yeah.
But he literally looks like he's like 12.
The picture of him and Kana is what really made me like.
It's like night
Kana's
and
not
day,
that
innit?
tall, and like to see both of them sitting on the bike, and Kana looks like all right sized on it, and then you look over to Sergio Garcia, and he literally looks like a midget sitting on the
Yeah.
bike. Like, I don't know how he's able to keep the thing upright.
No, it's like Danny Pajosa, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how Garcia does compare against Foggia and Dalla Porta. So obviously Garcia and Foggia are both rookies, so they're coming on even level pegging. But Dalla Porta has been there a while now. Obviously, the different team, replacing Foggia. being replaced by Foggia,
Yeah.
but they're all about the same height.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see how they can all how they'll compare to one another, because they all are obviously really good in Moto3, with Della Porta being the champion in 2019.
Yeah.
So that'd be interesting to see how they all stack up against one another. I think that could be very interesting. Yeah, and then moving to Moto3, before we do our predictions, Jose Antonio Rueda's a bit special, isn't he?
I'm so annoyed he missed out in the podium. So annoyed.
By like what 0.0? There was about 0.031.
It'll come with
Flippin'
experience.
heck.
That's all it is. Like, you could just
Yeah.
tell, like, with the people who had around him, with the likes of Sasaki, Masia, all them ones, Holgado, who's had a season already, like, it will just come with experience. He's not going to make that mistake twice of just being in the wrong
No.
place, and that's all it came down to, is he just wasn't
Yeah,
in
it's
the
just
right place.
experience.
Yeah.
Well,
So
it's like it's also Portimao's a bit weird. But did you see the Red Bull Rookies race with Angel Piqueras?
I watched the one on Saturday.
It was on the Sunday race, and it was Casey, another rider, I can't remember the Casey Gorman it is, I can't remember the other two, and Piqueras, and the other three were in front. Piqueras managed to go from fourth to first as they hit the line and won the race. Like, it was the top four were separated by 0.018,
That's mad.
which is ridiculous. And yeah, Piqueras just managed to absolutely spank him on the line. But Rueda was probably trying to do the same thing, but he couldn't. But it just goes back to the last podcast where I said about this Spanish Armada that involved Holgado, Munoz, Moreira, and Rueda, and they are the top four in this race.
Yep.
Obviously, Moreira is Brazilian, well aware of that, but yeah, he could be Spanish by how long he spent in the Spanish academies in Monlau and things like that. But yeah, it's like, it's a new talent already. Like, we're seeing these top four guys who are... Holgado was a rookie last year. Munoz and Moreira were rookies last year as well. And now they're locking out 1, 2, 3. You've got Rueda, who is a rookie. And you go down the order and you see guys who've been there a lot longer. Masia, Sasaki, Nepa. And they're all getting beat. Onshu obviously had an issue, so you can't really talk about him.
Onshu would have been up there, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. He was on fire, he was, to be fair.
Yeah.
And like Keita Toba, Tatsuki Suzuki, all guys who have won races, a lot of them anyway. Masia, Toba, and Suzuki, obviously race winners, who were just getting destroyed by this new level of riders. And obviously Kelso did really well in 9th place. Obviously now he's broken his leg, unfortunately. But Kelso kind of was scrapping and beating Holgado and things like that around Portimao.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how... I think the champion this year, obviously Ortola was another one. David Alonso, as a rookie, did spectacularly
He was
well.
great until he fell off, yeah.
He got knocked off, didn't he, by Ortola, which is a big shame. But again, like, I genuinely think the champion this year will probably be Spanish. It'll be one of those four. I think it will be either like Holgado, Munoz, Moreira, or Rueda.
Wow.
I genuinely think it'd be one of those. Maybe if you add Ortola into the mix as well, I genuinely think
No, I was going to say put Onshu in the mix, and then I think
Onshu as well. Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
I
Like,
wanted Masia and Sasaki to be up there. But after watching that race, I know, again, it's the first race of the season, so like,
yeah, and
I'm
you
being
can't
a
really
bit
take too much
dramatic,
from it.
but I do
Yeah.
genuinely think that those 4 plus Onshu, just seeing how Onshu was able to start in pit lane and manage to get up there, absolutely crazy. Like, if he had another lap or two, he could have fought for the win, which is crazy to think. But yeah, I think sort of those youngsters now coming into, some of them into their second year, and you've got the likes of Rueda, Alonso, and I'd say, Onshu. So 5 to 6 riders, I think that's who it's going to end up being, because as much of those experienced riders like Masia and all have the talent, we know they can win races. This is new talent now.
They don't have what the new guys have.
Yeah, like, what are the new guys doing differently? How did Rueda win the Red Bull Rookies? Well, Masia doesn't know, he hasn't raced against them before, so he's going to now need to learn how Rueda works, and that's massive. Whereas if he's out winning races and Masia's behind him, that's going to be difficult to follow.
So then Rueda replaced Masia.
Yeah, but then I mean, a massive from Holgado to go from the IO squad to go to the Tech 3 and then win the first race of the season.
That is a middle finger to the man there.
Well, they wanted Onchu in the team to win the championship. Like, getting Rueda and Onchu in your IO squad, that's like, you know who you're backing to win the championship. And then for Holgado to go do that, like, massive respect. I think it's crazy.
Love it.
I want him to win the championship now. I'm backing him all the way just for that reason.
Amazing. Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm fully down with you there. Like, it is a middle finger to the man. Like, it is like because Holgado was pissed when they did it. He was so angry. Apparently, like, understandably,
as he
like, why are you
be.
shipping up for a rookie? You know. But he's doing really well. He was obviously Rueda was the champion last year in the Junior GP, and the year prior was Holgado. So it's not like they're too far apart in talent either. But yeah, before we go on to predictions, I want to actually genuinely give a little bit of a credit where credit's due, because we slated her a lot last year. Obviously, Anna Carrasco.
Yeah.
We slated her a lot last year for being too slow. She even said herself before the season started she wasn't good enough last year. She went on Instagram and publicly said she wasn't good enough last year. She's going to work at it this year. Jose Bo, the team manager, has even come out and said she is one of the hardest working people in the paddock. And yes, look at the results. She finished last. But she finished within 0.05 of Asman, and then within 0.2 of Fenati in 19th, meaning there was a 5-rider scrap. Fenati, Rossato, Watley, Asman and Carrasco for those last 5 places.
She could have been in any one of those last 5 places. Because
exactly.
Watching the race, I remember seeing it, because I was wondering where Fenati was initially, because I was worried that was going to cause a bit of chaos. Then I was looking down, seen it. Then obviously I seen the likes of Watley and all, and I was like, oh, that's good. He's going to be racing against Fenati. Fantastic. Then Carrasco's name popped up and I was like, even better. This is fantastic. Like, that's a good, solid group of people to be racing against, and to be not that far off the action, I think, is also good. She's made really a massive step up this year.
Huge
I think Watley's made a step up too, because you have to think that Watley was sort of with Anna
like
almost back.
They were like it's you have like third to last would be like 30 seconds off, and then you'd have them 42 seconds off. Like way back. You know?
They raced a lot against each other last year, so to see both of them make that step up now that they're in a group of sort of 5 to 6 riders, fantastic. They're going to gain so much experience from doing that, and hopefully now that they're a race in the next couple of races, they can take the next step and get onto the back of the group in front of them, hopefully. Like, that's a massive step to make over the winter break, I think, for both.
Like, credit where credit's due, you know. And like Asman, who was just ahead of her, he's the junior GP runner-up last year behind Rueda, so it's not like he's slow. So, you know, and you've got to remember as well, Carrasco's riding a bike that's 12 kilograms heavier than everyone else's because she's got a load of ballast in it. So although on the sheet, rider and bike weight combined weight will be the same as everybody else, because she's lighter, her bike is heavier than everybody else's.
Yeah.
Which obviously puts her at a massive disadvantage already, because she's having to lug around a bike that's not going to be performing as it should, you know, as it's designed to, because of the extra weight. So the fact that she is doing what she's doing now is genuinely impressive. So I just wanted to give a little shout out to Anna Carrasco, because, you know, credit where credit's due. She was absolutely terrible last year. She's even come out and said she was terrible last year.
But I think that's all people wanted, was for her to go, look, I understand that my performances were not my best last year.
And at least she's working on it.
That is earned, I would say. Like, I respected her already. I still think she's fantastic. The fact that she's racing,
she's great,
like, I think that's unbelievable. But for a lot of people, for her to hold her hands up and go, look, I wasn't at my best and I'm going to work hard now.
She is doing it.
Will have earned a lot of respect from people. So hopefully now she can make that next step and sort of tag on to the back of the next group and start looking at points, hopefully.
Yeah, because she's gone from being like the odd one out. She was the odd one out last year, a lot of it. So was Watley, so are a few others. To being, actually, no, you are like, you know, there's a few that I was like, you know, you shouldn't really be on this grid kind of thing. Whereas now it's like, no, you're in the mix now. Like,
well, it's like where Scott Ogden was last year. Like, he was on the door, like knocking on the door of getting points. I know he crashed out of this first race, so we can't really
No.
assess where he's at. But if you look at testing, obviously he's definitely been a step up. But
Oh,
if you look at
yeah.
that sort of that group where Ogden was last year, looking at points most races, that's where Watley and Carrasco need to be now. And I think hopefully by the end of the season, that's where they will be. Like, they've made that big step. So now to get just that little bit further up the grid to fight for points, I don't think is unrealistic to achieve by the end of the season.
Yeah, I'd agree, 100%. Right, let's do these predictions before we bore everyone else asleep.
Like we do every week.
Yeah, so I'll just read out the points quickly because I haven't clipped it. So we do predictions, and you get X amount of points for where riders have finished or placed in the round relating to our predictions. So you get a point for pole position, you get a point for any place on the podium. So if you pick a rider to finish third and they finish second, you get a point. You get 5 points if you get pole position in all classes, 5 points if you get a rider in the correct podium position, 10 points if you predict the race winner or the sprint race winner, 15 points if you get the podium correct but the rider's in the wrong position, 20 points if you do that same but you get pole position, 25 if you get the podium positions correct and the rider's in the right order, 30 points if you do that and get pole, and you get 100 points if you get all podiums and poles in the correct order. It's a bit confusing. I need to work out how I can slim that down a bit because it's just
I'm
horrendous.
not gonna lie, I still don't understand
No.
the point scoring system,
I
and
don't.
I've been
I've got
here
it
for how
written
many
here, and I'm
months now?
yeah, it's a bit horrendous to be honest. Fully aware of that, but we'll go back to last week firstly. So, it was a bit of a shit show for most people, apart from me, as always. So in Moto 3, pole position went to Ayumi Sasaki. Lauren and Cameron went with Fanati and Masia, respectively, and I went for Yumi Sasaki, so I get a point. Then the podium was Holgado first, Munoz second, Moreira third. I went for Rueda, then Onchu second, Sasaki third, 0 points. Cameron went Rueda, Sasaki Fanati, 0 points. Lauren went Sasaki, Rueda, Onchu, 0 points. Leaving Moto 3, we have 1 point for me and 0 for Cameron and Lauren.
I thought I'd picked Holgado. I'm an idiot.
Whoops. In the Moto 2, pole position went to Ayumi Sasaki. No, it didn't. It went to Philip Salach.
There you go.
Yeah. Myself and Cameron went for Acosta, and Lauren went Canet, 0 points.
I'm really annoyed. I like Philip Salach, but I was on the money there with Aaron Canet until the last minute. So, sorry, Philip. Can you just maybe not do that next time?
Yeah, don't do that next time, alright?
Thanks.
Cheers, mate. The Moto 2 podium was Acosta wins, Canet second, Arbolino third. Lauren went for Acosta first, Arbolino second, Dixon third. She gets 11 points,
Not
10 points
bad.
for the winner, 1 point for a rider in the incorrect podium place. Cameron went for Acosta first, Canet second, and Lowe's third. So Cameron gets 15 points for the correct winner and then 5 points for a rider in the correct position. And I went for Acosta first, Canet second, and Arbolino third, meaning I get 25 points for the riders on the podium in their correct position.
Do you know the worst part about that? When you sent it into the group chat, I fully believed that was me. I was like, I'm on the money this week. And then I was like, oh no.
Wait, shit. So, leaving that, I'm leading with 26 points. Cameron second with 15. Lauren third with 11. Down to MotoGP. Pole position went to Marc Marquez, who is turning into a caravan, I think, these days, with all that towing he's doing. So it was Lauren that went for Martin, Cameron for Vinales, and myself for Bagnaia. 0 points. The sprint race winner was Bagnaia. I went for Bastianini, Cameron for Zarco, Lauren for Rins. 0 points again. In the race, it was Bagnaia 1, Vinales second, and Bezecchi third. Lauren went for Quattararo to win, Espargaro second, Zarco third, 0
Wrong.
points.
Bloody Aprilia. Annoying.
Cameron fucked it up. Cameron went for Vinales first, Bagnaia second, and Quattararo third, so he gets 2 points when he could have got 15 if he didn't switch that order. And I went for Bagnaia to win, Marini second, and Marc Marquez third. I correctly predicted the winner, so I get 10 points. So the points leaving Portimao and heading to Argentina, I lead with 36 points. Lauren with 17 in second, and Cameron with 11 in third. So I've already got more than double.
Wait, how does he have 11?
Cameron has 11 because... No, wait, you have 11. Wait, no. Oh, I've switched it
You're
around. I got the wrong words.
wrong.
Yeah, it's because I had it the long way around. You have 11 and Cameron has 17.
Okay.
Yeah. So, there we go. Oh, fuck. Yeah. So, yeah, I have more than double points of Cameron, sorry. He has kindly given me his predictions for Argentina. So, we're going to go through Argentina now. And Moto3 pole position, I'm going to put Sasaki. So has Cameron.
Oh, okay. I'm going to go with Morera.
Morera, okay. He's in South America. He's in his home ground.
Yeah.
So he's got that advantage, I guess. I like that. Podium, right. A lot of riders haven't been there. So who we go for third, please, Lauren? Who are you going to pick?
I'm going to go with... Oh, I don't know. It's really tempting just to pick sort of the top 4 riders from last week.
Like Munoz hasn't been there, for example.
Yeah. I think go Morera third.
Okay. Okay, I've gone Messia third. Second place, I've gone with Holgado. Cameron's gone with Sasaki. Who are you going with?
I'll go Holgado.
Holgado, okay, nice. Right, and the winner, please.
Onshu?
Onshu, okay, good shout. Me and Cameron have decided to absolutely send it, and we're going with Raider.
Did you not go with Raider for last week as well?
Yep.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, it'll happen eventually. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It's just
it. A broken
which one
clock
it'll happen.
is right
Okay.
twice a day, you know? So.
Yeah. I took that
Yeah.
tactic last year when I kept picking Luca Marini to get third place.
Yeah.
Look how well that worked.
Yeah, if you go Bez, maybe you've got a chance.
Mm.
Right, Cameron has gone for Moto2 pole position of Jake Dixon, which is intriguing. Who
Yeah.
are you going to go for?
I'm going to stick with Aaron Canet.
Okay, can it do it? We will find out. I've gone with the Costa because it's a Costa and it's just, yeah.
Fair.
Cameron for third, no, has gone with Dixon. He's also gone with Dixon for third place.
Okay.
Who are you going to go for third?
Alonso Lopez.
Okay, nice. Lopez. Don't think he's ridden a Moto2 bike there. He
Oh,
hasn't.
wait. No.
No, he's locked in now.
No!
You said it. Who are you going to change it to?
I was going to change him to second.
Ah, okay. Who is going to be your second?
Well, I wanted to switch this around. I want to put Tony Arbolino. But I
I'll
think
put him
he
second
would...
for Arbolino.
You can put him second. I mocked
Alright.
up my own.
That's alright, that's fine. Cameron's gone with Canet second. And I'm going to send it and go Aldiger because he got pole there last year.
Mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vietti took him off.
Yeah.
I think he will be up there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I hope so because he deserves to be. He's obviously rapid, as we know. Moto2 race winner. Me and Cameron have gone with the Costa. Cause
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going with Costa.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obvious. Not surprising.
You can put Costa down for the next 20 races while you're at it.
Yeah, literally at this point, yeah. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. Right, MotoGP pole position. Cameron is stuck to his guns and gone Vinales again. For some reason.
Fair.
Who are you going for pole? Reminder that there's like 20% of the grid are missing. So
I'm going to stick with Jorge Martin. Yeah.
fuck, I went Martin as well. Martin.
He got it there last year, that's why.
Yeah, fair shout. Right, who are you going for the sprint race winner?
This is where I fall into issues. Last week I just did it for a bit of a meme, but I think it's gonna be. Oh, I don't know. I'll just put Pecco down. It's a safe
Nice.
option.
It is safe. That's why I've gone with Pecco as well.
There you go.
Yeah. Cameron, on the other hand, has gone with Jack Miller.
Oh, Viva Miller!
To be fair, though, he got pole there a few years ago.
Yeah,
He
I
kinda likes
back
the
it.
place.
I back it. I just want
So-
points though. So
Yeah, that's it. Points and prizes, isn't it? So,
yeah.
right. Third place, he's gone with Vinales. I've gone with Alicia Spargaro. And who are you going with?
I'm gonna go with Jorge Martin.
Good shout, good shout. I've gone with Jorge Martin for second. Cameron's
Yeah.
gone with Binder. He likes KTM, it seems.
Is he on something or
I
what?
don't know. He's in Spain right now, so you might know something we don't, you know.
How much are Red Bull paying him?
Yeah, literally. What the fuck? Give me some of that money, Cameron. And who are you going with for second?
I've got to back him. So for second, I'm gonna go Pecco Bagnaia.
Oh, shit. And are you going to Leish to win?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Nice. I've just put
Asparagus.
Yeah, that's literally how it translates. Hilarious. Me and Cameron have been boring and gone by Naya.
Well, who'd you go for second, Martin?
Yeah, I went Martin, yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So, yeah, and me and Cameron by Naya to win.
Fair enough.
So
I
it'd be
think we've
interesting to
all
see-
learned from our mistakes. Well, I've learned from my mistakes.
A little bit. You just got to be like boring with it, I think. Be fun sometimes, but
Sometimes.
yeah.
Like,
No.
I will die on this hill. In Australia, I picked Alex Rins for the podium, and he ended up winning the race. Like, I'll take that one to the grave with me.
Oh yeah,
That
that's
was
a W.
impressive.
I'll take that W, 100%. Take that one. Yeah. Right. I think that's all we've got time for because this is probably going to be like a nearly 2-hour long podcast now.
Great.
Yeah, part 1, part 2, and I get to edit it because Cameron's away on holiday. Great, thanks, for that,
Oh,
Cameron.
even
Love that.
better. Enjoy.
Ugh, I won't. I love her debut audition. Yay. Thankfully, I found some presets, so it's fine. But yeah, I'm just rambling. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed listening to this podcast, and we're back next weekend. Sorry, this one's late as well. Do apologise. But we're back We'll be back next weekend after Argentina with more racing coverage. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
Bye.